Welcome everyone to this very sunny day here in Croatia, and in front of us we are having an amazing webinar related to the theme Improve Patients and Customers Engagement by Understanding Their Digital Journey. I would say a very trending and hot topic because nowadays everything is related to omnichannel and to AI in particular and how to engage properly. And today we have two great colleagues from Genesys and Orange Business. Really glad to welcome at first, ladies first, Melanie Goncalves. Hi Melanie, how are you doing? You're muted, Melanie. And Olivier Vicaire. So Olivier, I'm passing the stage to you and looking forward to this interesting conversation.
Yes, hello everyone. So I'm Olivier Vicaire. I'm the pharmaceutical vertical lead and business and innovation consultant from Orange Business. And I'm here together with Melanie, who is an account executive for the pharma customers from Genesys. So today we will introduce you two concepts. Who is Orange? Who is Genesys? Just to give you a snippet. It won't be a long presentation, but to give you an idea of what we do and why are we speaking about it. Patient and customer engagement. We will look at the key market trends impacting life sciences and in general that are having an impact on your business. And then we will see how customers and patient engagements can be improved. Why does it matter, and how can it be improved and increased thanks to digital services. So we will see some examples. How to analyze the engagement, how to analyze the customer journey, get insights from artificial intelligence, and then we will save a bit of time for a Q&A. So I invite you to ask your question in the chat, and at the end of the presentation, we will review some of the questions and we will try to answer them. And if we don't manage to allocate enough time to answer all your questions, we will give our contact details at the end of the presentation so that you can reach out to us directly. So a brief presentation of who is Genesys. Melanie, if you want to do the honor. So Melanie, we can't hear you. So I will present Orange by the time Melanie unmutes herself. So Orange, you may know us from the B2C activity. We've got a B2B activity, so meaning to business to business activity, and we are an operator. So this is something that we are very well known for, and we are an integrator, meaning that we can operate complex infrastructure. And with our integrator background, we have the ability to integrate digital services together. And we are investing a lot in the digitization of healthcare. So it's done with the startup incubators. We are investing and participating in digital health, for instance. And we've got another initiative with Sanofi, Capgemini, and Generali, which is called Future for Care. Yes, we can hear you, Melanie. And subsidiaries like Enovacom. So Enovacom is subsidiary of Orange, supporting hospitals and clinics in managing the patient's data flow. So in that sense, we've got access to many hospitals across the world and supporting the electronic health record and patient journey during the care process. And the last but not least, which is Business and Decision Life Science, which is a CRO, so a contract research organization who is providing clinical trial services for pharmaceutical companies. And Melanie, now
yeah, sorry. So hopefully everybody can hear me. So Genesys is a cloud leader for customer experience, and we are very strong in the healthcare sector. So we are proud to say that we have 460 healthcare insurance providers, as well biotech companies like Pfizer and Boehringer as our customers. So we can say that 80% of the top healthcare and pharma providers belong to our customer. All of them have understand how important the experience orchestration is, and it's about creating experience that make relationships meaningful and that you work with empathy. And we will show you later how we can support this.
Excellent. So, you know the story. We are in a new world now, and following the COVID pandemic, lots of things changed, and there are the top 10 trends here that are impacting you directly and sometimes indirectly, but most of them directly, meaning that working from home, the personalization and the expectations from people to have something that is really centered to them, sustainability, gaming culture, trust ecosystem regulation, softwares, all of these trends are very much impacting the healthcare and life science world. This is something that you cannot ignore anymore, and that has two impacts. Two impacts on you, meaning that people are expecting more personalization in care, something that is centered to them. They want to be treated as individuals with specific expectations, and they want as well more digital interactions. This is something that we experienced and lived by for the better part of 3 years now. So now it's impossible to see a future without a blend of the physical and digital interactions. So this is why it's important to embrace it and to update everything to embrace those two trends. So when we say patient engagement, what do we mean by that? Patient engagement, it's really referring to the intentional and genuine interaction with patients to provide mutual benefits in the end. This is something that is very important. You have to think about patients, about customers. You need to show that you care about them genuinely. And this is something that is very, very important, because before, patient engagement was more, is the patient sticking to the treatment or the protocol that was defined. It's now about, I want my patients, my customers to see the value of what I do. And it's really showing that you care. That is the biggest difference in terms of mindset shift. And it has many, many impacts and outcomes in terms of figures and facts. We've seen a lot of studies around the world for clinical trials, for instance, saying that when the clinical trial is patient-centric, by design, it's 20% more likely to start. Very, very impressive. It's 20%. And then close to 20% as well of clinical trials are closing and terminating because of lack of engagement of the patients. So working on it has a very, very big impact in terms of revenue. And for commercial drug as well, the engagement is significantly improved by participating to innovative protocols, innovative programs, by being onboarded into the cure design and the treatment. And this is something, so I put some links here. You will find a lot of examples all over the world about the impact of patient engagement. So I suspect that this is something that you already know, but the difference is massive. So this is why it's really important to invest in that, because the return on investment is tangible. Another thing is, on the other side, from the patient point of view, they want better patient engagement as well. They are expecting it. And the thing is, they are saying that their doctors is not paying enough attention to their concerns. They want to have a better relationship with their doctors, and they believe that they don't get enough airtime with their doctors and enough attention during their appointments, which means that they're spending too much time on stuff that don't really matter. And this is where you can support, because by delivering some value to healthcare professionals and doctors, you can improve the quality of the relationship between a patient and a doctor, because they will focus more on what is important rather than sharing some documentation, explaining everything. If you prepare the content beforehand, if you give and facilitate a bit the cure process, it will have a direct impact on the patient-doctor relationship quality. There are lots of stakeholders in this patient engagement. So this is why it's very difficult to get a holistic view. So this is something that you may be aware of. So they are the payers, healthcare professionals, pharmaceutical and medtech companies. They've got a direct impact on the patient journey. But there are other stuff that we didn't really envision in the last few years. The social structures. There are, for instance, the patient support groups, the family, the friends, the religions that are impacting a bit the mindsets and the patient engagement toward a typical cure. And something that is fairly new and that needs to be pointed out is health and wellness coaches. They are the one, dietitians, sport coach, and so on, that are setting up goals to improve a bit the way patients are behaving in terms of diet, lifestyle, and so on. And they've got a big impact on the adherence to a program because they are giving some purpose, they are giving some objectives, and they are boosting and inspiring the patients. So this is why it's important to involve them and consider them when doing a patient journey. And in terms of patient journey, we can see, for instance, in this slide, it's a bit busy, but don't spend too much time on it. The idea is to highlight the fact that there are two separate journeys. One looking at the patient, the one looking at the healthcare professional, but they are intertwined, meaning that there are some interactions between them, and all the time that is spent in back office could be improved to deliver a bit more value and a bit more time on the patient side. And the thing they've got both in that there is a very big mix of physical and digital channels in terms of interactions. And it's completely natural to switch from one channel to another to process during the journey. So it's difficult to nail everything and boil the ocean to create the perfect journey and to improve the engagement at every level. But it's important to acknowledge the fact that both journeys are linked and that you need to consider the full ecosystem before starting doing anything. So to summarize a bit, to make sure that there is a good engagement from patients and from healthcare professionals, you need to enable a two-way street. The two-way street means that you need to listen to what people are saying and then responding. And this is the responding part that many are missing today, and not only in the life science world, it's everywhere. The fact that when you listen to a feedback, it's important to act on it and show the results to prove that you care. And this is very, very key today. So when we look at studies, there are multiple channels that are used. And in these studies, for instance, it's showing that not all channels are equal in terms of value perceived by, for instance, the healthcare professional and medical doctor. They are not very happy with mass email. So don't bother about sending a lot of mass email that are not personalized, and even those that are personalized are not doing very well. What is important is to look at what they value the most. And of course, they will value the most the personal visit by a sales rep or a medical and science liaison personnel. Of course, they like it, and they don't see them that often. And this would be something to maybe increase. But what is important to see as well is that virtual speaker program, training webinars, and all of these digital channels and digital interactions are seen as almost as valuable as the physical presence, which means that this is something that you should invest more rather than, for instance, the mass email or the blind call from a contact center. So this is something that is interesting. And if we deep dive, we see that not everyone, not every specialty is receiving every channel in the same way. And they don't feel the same feedback and the same value according to their specialty. So this is why the effectiveness can be increased by using the right channel at the right time to the right person. And for instance, virtual lunches are great for cardiologists. They like it. But the nephrologists, they don't really like it and don't really care. Something that is common is that mass email is not doing any good to anyone, and it's important. Oops, what's happening? Can you still see my screen up?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes. Okay, good, thanks. So the mass emails are not really useful, and even the personalized email are not doing any good. But using the right channel is, let's say, helping to get your content across and to engage a bit more. And here we are talking about the healthcare professional and medical doctors. So personalization is really making a difference. So don't try to use a physical portal, a physician portal, sorry, for nephrologists. They won't care. But what they would value is the visit of the personal, the sales rep that they know. So this is something that you need to acknowledge and to gather. And last part is, what content do they expect? Of course, medical information and scientific data is something valuable to them. But what they value the most is information on sample ordering or information on copay and reimbursement. These are the kind of inputs from you that will help them to be more efficient and to waste a bit more, waste a bit less time in the back office activity, so that they can focus more on their patients. And same for instance, support program for patients. These are the kind of content they are expecting from you. So this is why we've seen that it's important to assess what channel should be used for who, and what kind of content do people expect. So this is great. Personalization is key, but how can we scale that? And this is what we are going to look in more details in a moment, because personalization is something very difficult to realize, and it's very difficult to realize it at scale. So the typical success factor to deliver a great experience, patient experience or customer experience, are the three things: simplification, personalization, and value creation. It's very important to make it simple for patients, for customers to get the information across, to get the content they expect, to get the support they want. And simple for them doesn't mean it will be simple for you. And this is the thing. You have to work very hard to make things simple for them. Then personalization, it's really about proving that you care and understanding them as an individual, not as a group of people that is just a number. And this is something that is quite difficult to achieve, because most of the time you give people a proof point that they are just numbers. And creating value is more about, what do they expect? What is important to them? And can we help them realizing that? And this is something as well very, very different from this is the value that is generated for me. It's more about, what can I do for them? So brace yourself, it's gonna be a lot of key important things. The most important is to understand that to scale, you need to augment human interaction by leveraging the power of hybrid intelligence. And what is hybrid intelligence? It's the merge of collective intelligence, which is the people that you get in the company, your patient base, the customer base, everyone that you are interacting with, the people, as well as artificial intelligence. So those two types of intelligence combined together are the one that will help you to scale. And for that, there is a change of mindset that is needed. So forget about decade investments and long-term commitments. This is something about trying to deliver value on the field for a specific target, a specific scope. And the typical mindset of a startup company is all about experimenting fast and failing fast so that they learn on the process what is delivering value and do it on a small scale, small enough so that it doesn't really matter if you fail, but big enough so that you can prove the value and decide whether you want to scale or not. And the best way to do it is to test it and co-construct with patients, with healthcare professionals, with all the partners and stakeholders of the patient engagement. They are the ones that will tell you what is important and where to focus. And they will probably change your perception on topics. And then the second topic is to measure the impact on the engagement and customer journey with outcome-based KPIs. Your KPIs should be their success, the measurement of their success, not your success. And this is very, very important because everyone is focusing on improving the KPIs. So if you set the wrong KPIs, you will focus your energy on the wrong things, and it will induce some bias into the way you deliver the service and the objectives. Then the third part is gather all the data you already have. As a company or medtech or as an entity, you've got a lot of information already. Thousands of petabytes of data that you already have, but that is unfortunately all too often in silos. But all the data, you've got it. And you've got it as well in an informal way from the field. Sales rep, MSL, customer and patient feedback. You've got this already. And this is the starting point you need to use to analyze this, to do something out of it. And for instance, there are some tools, there are some things that are helping you to analyze a bit the digital journey and the journey in general of customers and patients. And you can even analyze their sentiment and look at what is frustrating them, what is making them happy, so that you can correct and adapt your journey and the way you deliver it and your operations accordingly. And sometimes you miss data, and then you need to identify it, and the data you miss can be integrated into your existing workflows to improve and give even more insights. And to show that you care, this, if you remember, I mentioned it earlier, to show that you care, you need to respond. And to respond to all of this means that you studied the feedback and you created a feedback loop that is acting on those feedback to deliver value. And that is very, very important because having a lot of data is great, but setting up a governance with people that are dedicated to continuous improvement, you can see them as customer success manager or patient success manager. They are the one focusing on getting some improvements out of the feedback they receive. And this is where you show that you care. This is where that you react. And then, of course, to scale on a really, really big level, you need to set some CRM, customer relationship management, customer data platform. They are called customers, but it's data platform gathering information about a specific persona. It can be a healthcare professional, it can be a patient. These tools are aggregating data to create a consolidated view. And this is very important because all your tools will look at this in order to create value. Then it's important as well to make it simple for them to access information. And don't push too much, but focus more on giving access to people to the information they need. There is portals, it's easy to find because all the content or all the information they need is on a single platform. No point having 10,000 websites per brand and per drug and per cure and per country it's important to standardize and simplify a bit so that people know already where to search for. The customer effort or the patient effort or the healthcare professional effort to find information should be really minimal. And for that, you can use some omnichannel orchestrators, such as the one of Genesys that you will show below, to manage the various different channels and the various different ways information is shared across the journey. And something that we hear a lot is that there are lots of silos. Okay, yes, we've got data everywhere, but we can't access it because it's another entity, because the access is restricted and so on. And the thing is, if you genuinely care, if you genuinely want to do good, you will find ways. And you can ask for support for integrators such as Orange to anonymize the data, to secure the data, to secure the systems, to provide some governance in the data management so that you can use what you need and be compliant with the various local regulation or the various requirements. So this is something that feels a bit simple, but is very, very important if you want to make it right. And I can't go into too much detail in this webinar, but if you want, we can have some interaction, some one-to-one call, so that we can deep dive onto very specific topic. So we will see an example from Melanie on how do we analyze data, how do we analyze the customer journey. And then I will show you at the end an example of something that we built, kind of value ecosystem that we created to boost patient engagement and get value out of it for the pharmaceutical companies. So Melanie, if you want to take over.
Yeah, so it's quite important to understand if you want to be customer centric, so understand what's matter for your customer, you need to understand their journey. You need to be able to put you in their shoes, because if you want to influence them, you need to know what is their goal, not your goal, as Olivier was saying. It's about their goal. What are they trying to achieve by connecting with you? If you understand this process, you will be able to support them to close this goal, as well be able to push them a path that as well support your business goals. And that's the magic of it. You will be able to drive your business from the customer journey perspective, really. And to make this a little bit more visible, I want to share with you a metaphor of a park planning. Olivier, I think you are moving your mouse.
You can. I give you the floor.
Okay, sorry. So imagine that you are planning to build a nice park. So you need to think of lots of steps that need to be orchestrated. So it's about deciding where do I want to have turf, which kind of turf do you want to have, when you should plant a turf, where you want to have trees, where should be flower beds, which material we want to use, which flowers in this flower bed, where to locating bench, where to have fontaines, and so on. So you notice it's quite starting high level, and then you go down, and every single journey planning point contains different additional tasks with the goal of creating. It's a little bit slow, I'm sorry. With the goal of creating this nice park where you will allow your visitors to feel and experience the nature. There will be areas that you plant that they can lay down. There are areas where you want them to go over a labyrinth. There are areas where you want to put them sitting down. And there are areas for refreshment. The funny thing is, if you look into it in reality, after a while, you see that the visitors are going different paths. But why are they going different paths? What's their goal? Why they are not taking your nice way that you planned for them. And that's exactly where customer journey is helping to understand these blind spots between the different touch points. And very relevant in this point is not to look from a channel interaction perspective on it. It's important really to put you on the shoes of the customers to see from their customer perspective what they are trying to do, because eventually they are not using the fontaine, not because they don't like it, they are not using it because it's on the wrong area in the park planning, right? So if we transport this to our market in the healthcare pharma area, we have an HCP that it's opening an inquiry, and you planned for him that this could be a self-service with the bot, and then he can close it. If you only analyze this part, you will see there will be some HCPs that are not closing, but you will not understand why they are not closing. What is disturbing this path that you have planned for them? Perhaps they don't find a certain information and then reach out to a specialist on the phone. And in some cases, the automation system can help them, and they don't need to be transferred to a salesperson on the phone. They can do it by themselves. In others, it's a need to do this, right? So if you're only focusing on your journey that you planned and only looking on one channel, you will not identify really the correlation between the different steps that a customer is taking. And this is like a very small example. So if we look on the complaint management, that contains a lot of potential to improve patients' outcomes as well revenues, you see how important this customer journey is getting. The complaint management is getting more and more relevant for the biotech companies as well, the medical device companies, because it's getting more regulated, products are more complex, you have a higher cost to generate them. So it's quite important to understand this process. But the challenge that these companies and you are experiencing is the siloed organization, legacy IT systems. They can't connect all the data to get really a full view what customers are experiencing. And sometimes this is causing to wrong conclusions that even could have some compliance issue. So journey analytics helps you to identify the points in this circle to optimize how the customer can open an intake. So if we take, for example, the multiple channels. So we know that our customers can open on different ways case intakes with you. But we identified that depending which channel they choose, it could be quite different what kind of information you get asked, how you need to enter the information. So this ends up involving a challenge perhaps for the triage, because the triage was designed to have always the same information, but depending on which channel your customer was taking, information is missing. So you are delaying again the process. So it's really important to understand which process a customer can take to open a complaint and then try to identify how to streamline it. And the customer journey is providing you the friction points of this journey where you then can step in and try to optimize this. And I found very interesting in a study that was saying that the increase in opening notice for FDA for the Form 483 was caused due to missing information, lacking information. So if the information would be there, they would not even have to raise up such notice on the FDA. So it's really relevant to understand why certain things are happening in the customer perspective. And for this, it's important to set up the next generation compliance management. And as well here, the customer journey analytics tool allows you to understand where you can step in and try to optimize. So very important, and this is an example that I'm picking up, how you can structure it. But in the end, it's always about collecting the data that you have. So what information do you need to open an in-case standardizes for every channel interaction that it's choosing, and then prioritize the intakes that you can by a score, for example, and then get them orchestrated to the right resources with the right information, with the right knowledge to answer this inquiry. Especially the piece of simplify the consent process and the analytics is very close to each other, and you need to circle back the information that you gain in this specific process back to the all departments. And that's as well a point where customer journey analytics can help you to step away from the siloed data, because it's collecting the data, aggregating, and offering to everybody in the company. And I found very interesting that workforce footprint is as well very relevant, because nowadays it's hard to get the good resource. So it's important that we support them with the right content to be able to create this personalized engagement. So what we understood, it's about having customer journey analytics, allowing you to visualize different data points, so to collect them in the web form, adding information of a sales rep call, putting additional information from CRM about the customer, about the product, adding perhaps some additional information about customer journey, and finally, get the full picture to understand the comments. So I'm able to align the organization around the customer perspective in this specific customer view. I can create this personalized information, because what Olivier was saying is not that they are complaining about missing information. They are complaining about the relevant information in their point of interaction with you. So start to build the relationship and improve this experience. And it's sure you will not be able to optimize and work on all streamlines at the same time. It will be a step by step, because what we know, or what we need to consider, that this is really a continuous business optimization process that starts by analyzing the customer journey, defining KPIs that allows you to track their experience in the end and to measure this. Then you need to have tools that help you implement these changes and to orchestrate all this experience and interactions. Then you need the customers let execute, feel the experience, the interactions with you, and collect their feedback. And again, it starts. And these are only tools that help you to identify this information, help you up the right ones that really matter to your customers. But it's only technology, so it's really about the people in the end working on this. And always the same process. Listen to the customer. That's very, very important. Try to get the full context. Try to understand how are they feeling. Use existing information to predict what they want for you. Offer them the next best action. Act in the channel that they prefer. So we hear from Olivier that depending on if this is a HP, if this is a medicine, they have different preferences. So use this information for acting in the right channel with them to achieve their goal, and your business outcomes will be achieved with this as well. And then circle again back. So this is one way how you can use insights coming from the customer journey. Another way you can improve your business is by hearing what customers are saying, by ensuring the quality that they are experiencing, and by hearing to your employee. Because hearing as well what your employees are saying is very interesting, because they are in the moment of truth directly connected to your customers. So they often already have a trend and know what's challenging. And on the other hand, if you get this information, you can help the process of the employee to be optimized, to be easier for him to handle these requests that they get. So that's a very interesting component. Especially, there are several studies around of this, how the customer satisfaction is connected to the employee satisfaction. And I found it very interesting. There was one that came to my attention, is that if there's an improvement of a Glassdoor rating for a company, their general customer satisfaction will improve by 1.3% in a scala of 100 points. So there's a quite big correlation to help the employees to have the right information at the right time by interacting with MSCLs, HCPs, and patients to really influence the HP, right? That's what we want to do. We want to help them to get their goal done and leverage our business with it. If we're going to the topic of speech analytics back, or text analytics, there are four use cases: quality assurance, market intelligence, sentimental analysis, and customer employee survey. All of them are affected by the speech analytics. So on the quality assurance, I want to focus on the part that I really have the option to analyze all interactions, really 100%. I can use AI to really be fair, to be independent and quick to get results. So I can really ensure the quality there. So this helps as well in getting more conversations with the pharma specialists, because I'm quicker and have the right information point. This has an impact on my NPS score, etc. So it allows us quite a lot of insights in this part. Special interesting, and I will focus on this one, is the market intelligence. By going in hearing in the conversations that customers are having with my employees, I get lots of insights in real time. I don't need to wait until any data specialist is coming up and providing me the information that there's occurring any special kind. I will hear it directly and quick. So, for example, I can hear on a clinical trial if there are certain adverse relationships, if their design of the product is good, if usage is it's going, even if reimbursement is needed. So I get quick insights on this. The sentimental analysis give me a quick view how the trend is currently of my conversations, and as well in a clinical trial, it could be interesting to see if there's a conversation and the sentiment is negative, to transfer this one to a specialist team to ensure that this clinical trial attendee will continue doing the trial. So you see, there are lots of possibilities, and I roughly, to give you a feeling how this could look like, it's really, I get the full transcript of voice, add the content that I have in written form, and then I can do the analysis with AI and identify topics that I was not aware. And again, it's about visualizing the trends, unexpected topics, to go again inside of this conversation and allow improvements, then help to get my business outcomes. To finally wrap up, I want to give you a short example of the HCP journey, that it's not using analytics and orchestration. So you start that the sales rep is visiting the HCP, present the news information about drugs. The HCP is having a conversation with a patient and needs additional information. So he goes to the pharma company and asks for the information that he needs. He gets the feedback of the requested information per email, is reviewing it, and notice that he is missing something. So he tries to identify this information through the website. He could not find it, tried to reach the sales rep, he is not able to get it. So he lands up in the service center talking to a specialist. But as all this information was missing, what he already had been doing, he needs to explain himself again to the specialist. The specialist understood his requirement, but is not able to act because he don't have all information on hand to provide the right answer. So he will get back to him on a later point. If we now how we could benefit of this journey analytics and insight analytics of conversation, is Firstly, we start really to orchestrate. We start to track every interaction that we have with the customer to then be able to predict certain outcomes, to predict how to act with them. So in our case, we start to track every interaction in the CRM. Then when the HCP is coming to ask additional question, we notice, the sales rep have been there and presented following tracks. So it's very likely that he is calling because of that, and we can transfer it to a specialist that is trained on this. So this will allow them to directly provide personalized information that save time on both sides, right? So nevertheless, the HCP has additional questions after the treatment and tries to find information on the website, if you remember. But in this case, we use AI to say, hey guy, there was another interaction some days ago that could be linked. So I start an automated conversation to collect all information to then again find the best specialist for this case for not wasting time. So to be valuable and personalized for this. And very interesting now is that through journey analytics or even trend analytics, we identified that in such scenarios where HCPs reach out a second time to you, they likely need a certain kind of information. So you are providing them this information already proactive before they reach out to you. So you see, we can really support a full journey to make it personalized in every step. And that's what we try really to do, to build this frictionless experience that is based on always listen, understand, predict, act with empathy, and learn about it. Olivier, I hand over.
Exactly, and it's a good opportunity as well to show that you care. When you are proactive, you show that this is something that you acknowledge, you understood, and you care about, and you give a proof point. And this is very, very important. Let's look at another example, for instance, where we can create this win-win situation. This is something that we built, for instance, to boost patient engagement, giving as well the ability for pharma companies to collect real-world data in the process. What we created is, on top of a queue, we gave access to a mobile application and to a coaching service on diet and lifestyle to patients. So it works very well, for instance, for long-term disease, for diabetes, for oncology, for instance. This is something that is very useful because we've seen that there is a very big improvement in a better diet, better lifestyle, and so on. So this is why this experimentation gave very good results, because with the drive of the coaches and the patient-reported outcomes, the medical doctors could access all those touch points, because we collect via this application all the information about the smartwatch or the smart scale or whatever health connected device. We can collect the activity and lots of information on top of all the declarative feedback from the patient, the mood, if they smoke, lots of information that they can decide, opt in to share with the coach, with the medical doctor, and potentially with the pharma company. And with that, it creates a lot of information and data points that you can use to either redesign a bit the patient journey or to fine-tune the cure process, or as well to feed in the marketing and research and development on future research or future medication. And this is something that is illustrating the point of, if you give value to people by helping them getting healthier sooner, and you collect feedback in the process that are helping you to be more efficient, to deliver better cure, better treatments, better outcomes, then it will create this virtuous feedback loop. And all these data can be reused to prove the payers, for instance, that your treatment, your cure, your drug is effective and more effective than the competition, for instance. This can be used, so we've got it for clinical trials or for commercial drugs. This is an example of an ecosystem that you can set up to deliver better patient engagement, better insights to medical doctors and healthcare professionals, and get value out of it for you so that you deliver more value to everyone else. So this is another example on how you can set up a good win-win relationship with everyone. So I don't know if you get any question at this stage. We've got a bit of time that is allocated for Q&A. If you want to ask any question in the chat, we can try to answer it right now. Or otherwise, you can visit us on the next Pharma Summit, which is happening in Croatia the 16th and 17th of May. We will be there together with Melanie. And you can contact us as well directly on our mobile or email so that you can schedule a meeting with us and further discuss a specific topic. So I don't see any questions so far in the chat.
Frank, you're muted. You're muted, Frank.
Oh, no, I don't see any question in the chat.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to act as a kind of icebreaker with one or two questions. The first one for Olivier. I understood from what you explained that there is a direct relationship between pharma and healthcare professionals and the doctors, and where you also have an analysis what kind of channels are used. I also understood you have the reverse conversation when it comes to complaint, where you also have analysis. Is there anything where pharma act proactively directed to the patients, or is it always via the doctors and the healthcare professional?
So to deliver information about a disease for awareness, it is possible to send information directly. If it's health-related data or insights, it is possible. What is not possible is any prescription or recommendation. This has to be through a medical professional. So this is why it's a bit tricky, because you need to be sure of what info you share and what recommendation you give. You should not influence or prescribe anything to a patient, because this is completely forbidden in most of the countries. So sharing information on patient group, sharing information of a type of disease or medical information on research and development, this is something that is encouraged and that is useful to educate patients and to involve them into as well the creation of a specific clinical trials program, for instance, or innovative patient programs.
Thanks, Olivier. There's also one question to Melanie. Melanie, when you talk about the customer journey, so and it's really important to understand the weak spots. Is there a chance also to have a kind of simulation, if you have some improvement ideas how to improve my customer journey, that you can simulate it, that you can just try whether that's a valid improvement?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yes, that's possible, because you can play with the data and reuse it and then do proving points. So that would be possible.
Okay, how would that work? Is that something people need to discuss with you directly and for special cases?
Yeah, so we have a special team looking especially on the customer journey tools that are able then to follow up on this question. But you are playing around with adding data and saying, okay, what's happening if I would move them to another interaction type and then see how the information is changing. But I'm happy to take on this question with our team specialist on customer journey. So feel free to write me an email or give me a call to detail on this.
Wonderful. There are still no further questions from the attendees, unfortunately.
Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. I guess we can close this webinar. Thank you very much for your attention, and looking forward to see you on the next Pharma Summit and to have some close interaction with you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Exactly. And feel free to make appointments with us if you want as well pre the event. So we will be there one day already before. Have a great time.